The anime summer season of 2023 has just begun with a ton of new and returning big hitters. However, out of all of these shows, the second season of Jujutsu Kaisen is already your favorite show this summer, even if you don't know it yet. And in less than 10 minutes, I will tell you exactly why. Okay, jokes aside, it is also worth mentioning that Jujutsu Kaisen is by far the most popular anime of the summer season of 2023. The previous statement means that this show has the largest viewership base, which directly translates to a greater number of those viewers calling the show their favorite of the season. This means that you, yes, you watching this, are statistically more likely to also be someone that watches Jujutsu Kaisen, and by extension are also more likely to consider it your favorite show this season, regardless of whether you yourself actually watch and or like the show or not. That being said, all of this was just scratching the surface, so allow me to go a few steps further now, and by the end of this video, you will likely be convinced by what I have to say and what MAPPA has to offer. Even if it's not the best show this season, it is safe to say that it is the highest quality show this season. It is not uncommon for people to consider Jujutsu Kaisen as MAPPA's magnum opus. And that is true. Jujutsu Kaisen is by far the best anime that MAPPA produces right now. There really aren't many points of contention on this. The time, effort, resources, and dedication that goes into producing this show is extremely apparent by the sheer caliber that each episode displays on your screen. Now, of course, what I said previously still does not take away from how good other MAPPA productions are. For instance, we just had the second season of Vinland Saga, which just concluded recently, and was also produced by MAPPA. And it was an absolute masterpiece. In fact, season 2 of Vinland Saga was borderline the best show I have ever seen in my life so far. And it is blasphemous to say that the company did not work hard to make sure that Vinland came out as good as it was. However, you do not always need an intrinsically layered narrative with an extremely deep and profound story like Vinland or Steins Gate to have a good show. You do not always need a hyper-complex and detailed world with multi-factioned political wars like Re:Zero. And this is what I feel like a lot of people do not understand, especially those annoying anime gatekeepers who casually throw around the word mid as if saying something is mid holds any substantial meaning or relevance anymore. And you know what? Never mind. Let me clear up this point first before I continue. The word mid is so overused in blanket statements these days without substantial backup that it virtually signifies absolutely nothing. Take the tier list, for example. When someone says something is mid, that quite literally means the show is anywhere from right below S+ tier to all the way to utter garbage. Like, mid legitimately just means nothing anymore. The word has become a cop-out slang term used to avoid considering the nuances of life. Here's what the average viewer sees when I make a tier list, and here's what the Neanderthals who use the word mid as an argument see. Oh, this thing is so mid. Why is it mid? Because it has X and Y and does not have C. Okay, if this thing is successful, how do X and Y make it mid? Because I don't like X and Y, so it's mid. Yeah, by the way, this isn't sarcasm. I was paraphrasing an actual conversation I had with a real human like this. Yes, exactly. And you best believe I instantly checked out when that motherfucker said I don't like it, so it's mid. Not liking a story or a show does not necessarily mean it's bad. It literally only means that you do not like it. Whether it is objectively bad or not is an entirely different conversation. When I made my spring anime tier list video, about 40% of the shows I ranked highly were not even ones I liked, but I had to take a step back and consider whether these shows had something of value to offer in general, regardless of my personal preference. And this perfectly brings me back to what I mentioned about shows like Vinland Saga and Re:Zero. Sometimes, just a good and solid story that can stand on its own combined with a god-tier production value is enough to make a masterclass level anime. And Jujutsu Kaisen's success and popularity speaks volumes. In fact, Jujutsu Kaisen's popularity can be a curse for other MAPPA projects. Get it? A curse? Okay, I'll stop. Take Hell's Paradise, for example. While the show was good and I enjoyed it, it is abundantly clear that MAPPA sacrificed that show by shifting most of their talent and resources towards Vinland Saga at the time and Jujutsu Kaisen now, which came out at the detriment of Hell's Paradise's quality. But this is honestly more of a MAPPA problem rather than just a Jujutsu Kaisen problem, and it is a long, separate topic. And I do not blame MAPPA. Jujutsu Kaisen is by far their biggest show, and it is the one that put them on the world stage to begin with. So it makes sense that they would go out of their way to maintain its consistent quality and meet audience expectations. Don't bring up Attack on Titan, I'm already debating a 1-hour video discussing it after Attack on Titan, the final season part 3, the final chapters part 2 airs. Jujutsu Kaisen is a show that respects your time, and this is something that I always find consistently amazing about this anime. And while Jujutsu Kaisen does not try to tell a life-changing story, the plot accomplishes exactly what it needs to do. The show does not fuck around, and it does not waste your time with useless info dumping. Instead, it opts to show you instead of telling you. And on the occasions where the story does choose to tell, the dialogue is clean and straight to the point. Interactions are well thought out and with purpose. And major events that take place always have visible psychological impacts upon the characters involved. Combine that with top-tier music and animation, and it is no wonder that so many people like Jujutsu Kaisen. In addition to all of its virtues, Jujutsu Kaisen was always renowned for having extremely good choreography, largely thanks to its former director, Sang-Woo Park. And it is to no surprise that when MAPPA announced that Park would be leaving the company, many people were understandably worried about the impact which that would have on the show moving forward. And now that the introductory episode of Season 2 came out, I am glad to tell you that these words were misplaced. You see, the man replacing Park is Shota Goshozono, and while he does not have an extensive catalog, all of the shows that he worked on are really good ones. And I mean, just look at these shows. This man only worked on W's. As I was saying, this man only worked on W's. Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen tells a story that is quite different from the one we know today. The story dispatches from the current events of the modern era and goes 12 years into the past, back when Satoru Gojo and Suguru Geto were young, focusing more on their early life and how they became the people they are today. And it is quite apparent that something significant happened to both of them, because if you compare Suguru Geto and Satoru Gojo today to the ones you see in episode 1 of season 2, it is as if the two guys are completely swapped in terms of ideologies. It is an interesting look into a much more reckless and disconnected Satoru from the one portrayed in season 1. And if you are not someone who is familiar with the manga, I wouldn't blame you if you are confused as to why the story is walking in reverse. First, we had Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1, which took place in 2018 with Yuji Itadori. And then Jujutsu Kaisen 0, the movie which starts 8 years before the main story in 2010 with Yuta Okotsu, who is a completely different protagonist. Now we are in 2006 with Suguru Geto and Satoru Gojo. However, these events are deliberately designed to be positioned as such by the manga's author Gege Akutami, in order to provide sufficient background information about certain characters and give context to certain events in the future, all culminating into the eventual build-up towards the climax of the infamous Shibuya District arc. And trust me, when that arc goes live, it will all make sense. If you're an anime-only JJK fan, you probably heard at some point a manga reader saying, "Oh my god, you have not seen anything yet! The Shibuya District arc is going to be insane!" And I get it, when you hear it a lot, it can become annoying, but the story really picks up in Shibuya. It will be very good. Now, it is worth mentioning that the Shibuya District arc is a little overhyped. Like, the way some of these motherfuckers put it, they make it sound like the mere sight of the arc will make you involuntarily ejaculate and then fall into a state of suspended hypnosis from the sheer mental and visual pressure that your body is being subjected to. Like, it's good, but it's not that crazy. But yeah, it will be top tier. Is Jujutsu Kaisen the greatest show ever made? No. No, it's not. But it is a damn good story, and a damn good anime. Probably the best one this season, unless a big dark horse pulls up. I would be lying if I say otherwise. And honestly, I used to be one of those cringers who got annoyed by how popular Jujutsu Kaisen was when it first came out. Looking back at it now, I realize how stupid this mentality is. Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen takes a unique direction by telling a different story in the past with a different protagonist. The events we saw previously are irrelevant right now, and the stakes are different because of the fact that we are following Satoru Gojo. And Satoru is such a cool guy that it is honestly extremely difficult to dislike him. So all I can say now is sit back, watch and enjoy, because the real story of Jujutsu Kaisen is just getting started.